too much from the Pacers and Tyrese Haliburton. They got off to a spectacular start, and they withstood a Knicks flurry in the third quarter. This was a key sequence as T.J. McConnell forced a turnover. Aaron Nesmith up and good. And the Knicks fans, in love with this team, watch a 130-109 defeat as the Knicks season ends in 7 games. The season is over for this team that we all loved, played so hard every night, overcame so much adversity, and gave us and all those fans so many thrills. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito, along with Alan Hahn and Wally Zerbiak. All of the injuries, all of the adversity. What a joy to watch this team. OG Anunoby gave it a shot. Willis Reed-esque with 5 points right out of the gate, and then really couldn't play much more on that sore hammy. He got 36 minutes from Josh Hart. And kind of appropriate, Alan, that Jalen Brunson, the all-world Jalen Brunson, finishes the season in the locker room with a broken left hand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it went for this team.
The final nail, right, for the season. But, you know, when you look back at now what this team was able to accomplish, the way they even fought back in this game with all the pieces that they were either missing or had injured, it was emblematic of this season and what this team's been able to do. The identity that was set this season let you know that this was going to be a Knicks team. Let all future opponents know this team will fight you to the very end. They will give everything they have. The fact that Anunoby was even on the court also shows you just how invested he is and he was in trying to help this team win. There's not a lot more that you can say about this team other than that they had an inspiring season and had an inspiring run in the playoffs that fell just short of reaching the conference finals. But it does feel like this is not the end. This feels like it's the beginning of something here.
Yeah, sports is the ultimate reality of TV, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the Knicks, script-wise, you have the home court advantage, you have the crowd, you have the fans. They were kind of supposed to win this game. They were the number 2 seed. They had a bunch of injuries to overcome. Indiana Pacers, they came out and they played an incredible game of basketball. And that's the thing about sports. You never know what's going to happen. You can't predict what's going to happen. This was a dream season for this team. What this team has to do right now is take the positives from how well they played, each individual, know that you have 3 starters that were sitting on your bench for pretty much the whole entire series, re-rack this team, re-rack this locker room, and go for a championship in the next couple years. That's what this fan base, that's what this team and this franchise has to look forward to. It was impressive what these guys did. An outstanding performance this season. DiVincenzo was amazing, but this team has a really bright future.
And you have a franchise cornerstone in Jalen Brunson. There's some questions about where he would stand in the hierarchy of great players coming into the season when they signed him. There's no doubt about his accomplishments, and he got hurt here in the second half. The fractured left hand, didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. Came back here on defense against Tyrese Haliburton. Perhaps it happened there. But again, Brunson did not play at all, and when he did play, similar guys to how he performed in Game 6, did not shoot very well, but nonetheless, he was the 5th leading scorer in the league, 28.7 points per game, Allen, in the regular season, and the leading scorer in the entire NBA in these playoffs. The Knicks have a franchise cornerstone, and for all those that say he's a 1B, he's a 1A.
He certainly has, and he proved it in the most important time, the playoffs. Especially when he was the only player that you really had to stop. And most games, you couldn't. And that's what made it special. By the way, he did struggle with his shooting in this game. He still had 9 assists. He still was looking to make plays. He was still giving, like I said about this team, everything he had. But here's a guy that is legitimately one of the top scoring players, not guards, players in the league. He's one of the most unstoppable one-man players in the league. And he became a leader as well. As he went, the team went. The team rallied around him a lot of the times, and he made big shots and big plays in big moments. For a guy listed at 6'2", one of the top paint scorers in the NBA, and finishers, of course, at the rim. And I mean, Wally, he established himself last season, I thought, in the playoffs. When you remember, of course, what Eric Spoelstra said, how's this guy not all NBA? How's he not an all-star? Well, he is this season. He became the all-star this season. Now he's elevating into superstar status in New York.
No question. He has absolutely embraced playing in a New York Knicks uniform. And we've chronicled how difficult it is to play on this big stage. He embraces it. He loves it. He's got teammates that love it, coaches that love it. He's got a fan base that absolutely loves to have him in a New York Knicks uniform. The performances that he put on, it was a lot of fun to watch. At the same time, I know what Jalen Brunson's thinking right now. He's thinking about how bright the future is for himself and his team. Because the ultimate goal in an NBA uniform, it's something that I didn't achieve, is to win an NBA championship. And there's a lot of guys on this roster that want to achieve that goal, and they're going to have the opportunity to achieve that goal in the near future.
You look at the Pacers and what they were able to accomplish coming in to MSG. We all were eager to watch the start, all about how the crowd would react. Well, the Pacers, somewhat inexperienced, Wally, they lighted up in the first quarter, 16 of 21, and that was the whole key to the game as they go 7 of 9 from downtown in the first quarter.
It was incredible, and you know, that offense was just clicking in every way, shape, or form. OG Anunoby with the heroic 2 shots that he hit. Unfortunately, he couldn't move. But this Pacer team, they learned from Game 5 completely as a team, as individual players, and they were not overwhelmed by the crowd and overwhelmed by the moment. They executed their offense perfectly. Every guy that got the opportunity to step up, stepped up. I mean, that goes 1 to 10. Every guy that set foot on that floor for the Pacers, excluding maybe Obi Toppin, played an outstanding basketball game. And that's what you need to do to knock off the Knicks on their home floor. That says a lot about what that franchise has done. This is a young team that's building, that's going to be a formidable opponent for the Boston Celtics in the next round. Alan, we talked about it. I think they have some pieces that can give the Celtics a ton of problems, especially if Porzingis is not healthy. They earned this win. You got to give them credit. They played their butts off. They broke a record offensively with the way what they can do on offense, and they're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And, you know, we love, you know, when it comes to playoffs and rivalries and stuff like that, you always want to find villains. Tyrese Haliburton is moving into Reggie Miller territory with what he was able to do in this game and a lot of trash talking he was doing to some people on the court. Spectators, Celebrity Row, he was jawing with them. It was very familiar to the old days. And he was making signs about some guys being too small to guard him. All that stuff was there. This is, as we talk about the beginning, this is the beginning of what might be a real fun renewal of the Knicks-Pacers rivalry, because this Pacers team obviously is not an old team. They're going to be around for the next couple of years. You'll be dealing with this guy, and you're going to have to figure out how to guard him and how to stop him. In Game 5, he was passive, and it was weird for a lot of people in Indiana. Couldn't understand why he was so passive. He was not passive to start this game in the first quarter. He put up his shots, and he broke this game up. You see him pointing there? He's not pointing to a teammate. He's pointing to somebody that was sitting along the front row, and he was having a good time talking to Knicks fans about it. That's also part of playing on the great stage of the Garden, especially in a Game 7, is the opponent gets up too. And if you're trash talking them, some guys will shrink and some guys will rise to the occasion. Haliburton rose to the occasion, and you can expect, you would hope, that these two teams meet up some more in some important games, and it's time for the Knicks to get some get back maybe the next time. But that's what's fun. People can't, you got to remember, this is upsetting to lose. But think about where this is building to, and now you can see another team in the East, and you're saying, we're going to see them again. And it could be a lot of fun.
Haliburton 26, 14 in the first quarter. Knicks, Wally, were down by 15 at the half. And the Knicks got within 6 at 73-67 in the third quarter. And you're thinking, oh, maybe we got something here. But a couple of key sequences out of a timeout. They had a 5-second violation off of a make. The Knicks didn't turn it over right away off an inbounds. And that changed things around, and the Pacers were able to reassert their domination.
And Flip Saunders, the late, great Flip Saunders, rest in peace, he always used to say, when you get yourself down double digits, more than 10, there are going to be 5 key plays that you can get back into the game. You have to win 4 of those key plays. And unfortunately, there were a lot of key plays that went the wrong way for the Knicks. Alan, you mentioned it. There's Deuce McBride with the bucket. He had an opportunity, 6-point game, turn the ball over, and then it was a 5-point swing. But there's Dante DiVincenzo just doing whatever he could to make plays and knock down shots to get this team back into it. And I honestly thought when the Knicks came out like that and cut it to 5-6 with the way the crowd was going, I thought they were going to win this game. I really thought they were going to win this game.
Everybody in the building. It was amazing. The energy completely turned, right? And that's what you started to feel. But that's where you have to tip your cap to the Pacers.
Yeah.
Because they answered again with just, that's a tough turnover, but that's also excellent defense. That might be the play where Brunson hurt his hand. But that's what you need. Like, it's a great road win for a team like the Pacers to overcome what felt like a building that was completely exploding and a Knicks team that looked like they were about to flip the game on them. They just weren't able to do it because the Pacers wouldn't let them.
And look at this, guys. An NBA playoff record in terms of shooting percentage.
Incredible.
The Pacers for the game shot 67.1%, Wally. No team in the history of the NBA playoffs has ever shot better than the Pacers did in today's Game 7.
It was impressive. They executed their offense perfectly, 33 assists. They made some tough shots. I mean, granted, you know, the Knicks are undermanned, so they're small at almost every single position. But some of the shots the Pacers made, they did not miss. Nembhard, Nesmith, locked in, mid-range, didn't matter. Just Pascal Siakam, we mentioned how he was a big problem for the Knicks to match up with. It was just an impressive performance the way they played. And, you know, the way they played, they're moving on.
70% in the paint they shot.
Lowest total for a Pacers starter in terms of scoring, 17. That's how much balance they had here in this decisive Game 7.